Would either of you use the OMC twig now after the new video or the OMC wand?
What a question. I have done an overnighter for gudgeon. Don't judge me, please.
I'm a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
I was
young.
mushroom foraging next.
In many ways, I feel like fishing sort of kind of saved me as a young adult who was very lost in this world, and at school, which was just very, very stressful, and I hated it to the point where like I didn't really want to not just go to school. I didn't want to wake up in the morning, you know, it was brutal.
And I remember her response was, yeah, that's not a realistic job opportunity. You got to think of something else. And I always remember that conversation.
The voice
someone
in your head.
that said I was never going to do that as a job. I now make a living out of doing exactly what I said I wanted to do.
Even though I miss it, even though I miss him and I miss our working relationship, now when I hang out with Alex, like we're just best mates.
Yeah. Were there any points you thought about giving it up?
Yeah, so up until this year was actually the first year where I haven't had thoughts of giving it all up.
Welcome back to my channel. I've never introed a video like that before, but I am with this one. I'm thankfully joined by none other than Alex. No, sorry, you're not Alex.
Easy mistake to make.
You're Alex's brother though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
I recognised you because you look just like Alex. Did you know that?
He's the mushroom one.
The mushroom one, yeah, the mushroom.
I'm the fish one.
Ah, yeah. I love the mushroom one. If you haven't seen the mushroom guy, go watch him. That's a joke from last night because you were saying actually that we will get onto that as well, but obviously when Alex left, things changed on your channel.
Yeah.
And you say you now get recognised as Alex's brother from people that don't fish.
Yeah.
Or they think you're Alex sometimes.
I think actually more people see me about and go, Alex, gardening and mushrooms. More people do that than they do.
Yeah.
That's
always the funny thing when people do recognise you out and about. They kind of know your name and know where they know you from. So they just say a couple keywords.
Yeah,
and they'll be like, Joe, fishing, YouTube. And I'm just like, do you know any other words from that? But yes, that's correct.
Oh.
That's a bit of a random intro, but what I wanted to do basically is just have a little bit of a chat with someone else that's been on YouTube as long as I have. 2009 we just worked out. We both.
How many years is that?
50. So between us, it's 30 years of YouTube.
30 years of YouTubing.
Some of us have gone a bit higher in the spectrum of YouTube and followers and that. Some of us have sort of trickled along. That's fine. We'll skip over that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, so you've got like what?
Some of us focused on our careers and you worked at a very respectable publication.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have any back history like that particularly. I worked at Nash.
You did work at Nash. So we'll get on to, so we both started YouTube around 2009. My reasoning for starting was I was watching The Carp Catcher, which I think is one of the OG fishing vloggers.
Probably the first.
Butcher.
In the UK.
Vlog time. He also, yeah, exactly. I watched him. I think that was pretty much when YouTube started. I think YouTube started 07, 08.
Something like that.
And the fact, my first ever channel was 2008 called Yusef97 with some old random stuff. And then I set up Nuffinbutfishing, spelt wrong because it was 2009. I was quite young. Never thinking that it would be still my actual job now.
Still going
Same
now,
with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And I have got some questions from you guys to put out on social media. What do you guys want to ask myself, Carl, both? And one of them was, when you set up your channel, did you ever envisage, that's a horrible word to try and say, envisage that you'd be where you are now, calling it your job? Because for a lot of people, this would be a dream. It is a dream.
Yeah, I mean, when we started doing YouTube videos, though, no one did YouTube professionally.
Yeah.
The term YouTuber hadn't actually been coined yet.
No.
So, I mean, to say that we had it all in our mind and it was the big plan all along would be a lie. Yeah. I dreamed, and so did Alex, that one day we might, you know, be able to fish more than we did back then. You got to think you're a kid, you're obsessed with your hobby, you want to do it all the time. Your mum and dad won't take you to the lake, and you dream that one day, well, you know, I might have a sponsor, they might give me free fishing rods or something. And there was a lot of dreaming going on back then, but I can't say I ever had a vision of like, oh, I'll be doing exactly what I'm doing now, because the amount that's changed since then is just off the charts.
Yeah, and it's YouTube as a whole is just its own beast now compared to, like I said, when we started it, I did it purely out of the enjoyment of filming my content. I thought, I love what the Carp Catcher did, I want to do some of myself, showcase my day sessions, and I was that keen. I'd fish the day, get home and be straight on the laptop or computer, editing it, trying to get it uploaded, killing my family's internet for an evening. And I just enjoyed making it. Again, never thought that I'd still be doing it 15 years later and call it my
career.
We're YouTubers.
Yeah.
And I still find that term a YouTuber a weird thing, but if you think about it, my income is through YouTube and work surrounding it, as you are.
Yeah.
But back, obviously 2009, I'm trying to work out how old I would have been, 15 years. That's easy. I was 15. 14, 15, I started YouTube. You would have been, what, 12, 13?
We did some videos that weren't fishing videos for a bit.
Yeah.
They don't really count, but like in the first 2 or 3 years that YouTube actually existed, we made videos about riding our bikes. We wanted to do BMX videos, but we weren't very good. And then we started doing pranks on our neighbours and things, and none of those videos were good or popular at all. But I guess we were just doing what kids do, which is have fun and mess around and see where it goes.
And there's this new exciting thing where you can put these videos out on YouTube. That's my old channel called Yusuf97. It's me making jam jar pulse jets, tennis ball mortars. So these are like putting cans together, putting lighter fluid in it.
And blowing them up.
and blowing a tennis ball across a field, and we just uploading it.
Yeah.
But with the ages we were setting up YouTube, like nowadays there's loads online about cyberbullying and stuff like that. Some of the things I look back at now and think, I was treated awfully as like a young creator, 14, 15 on YouTube by full grown men giving me hate comments. Like some of the stuff they wrote was brutal.
YouTube back then was basically the Wild West.
Yeah.
Like there was no comment moderation. There was no blocked words.
No.
It was literally like put yourself on the internet and then just be abused by old men who've got nothing better to do.
And that's the thing, like the audience of people that watch it were middle-aged blokes that went fishing. Still, my audience, you can actually look into this now and see what your demographic is. But back then, it would have been people that were a bit bored at home watching people like us.
But let's be honest, I'll speak for myself rather than for you. Me and Alex's videos back then were really bad. They probably deserved some hate. Not necessarily the abuse that we got back then, you know, taking the mick out of our appearance. Or,
well, that's what I'm referring to.
Just like really going in, but like some of the stuff where it was like, this video is terrible, like, and other rude words, it might have been justified because for probably 4 or 5 years, Alex and I's videos were unwatchable.
Well, like, I'm not saying that my content was good, but then looking back, it is awful. I was a squeaky voiced teenager. I was always shy on camera. The footage I got was awful. It was loads of just waffling to camera, which I'm doing now, but I feel like
changed.
I feel like I waffle a bit more professionally now than then. But yeah, the comments would just be ruthless. And I look back now and think, it was allowed because there wasn't the moderation there.
Yeah.
But I also think I'm so glad we persevered with it because otherwise we wouldn't be here. There's so many people that must still get knocked down by it, even though it's a bit more of a moderated world. When you put yourself out there, you open yourself for criticism. I think it's made me a tough person for it, being online that much. I put everything out there, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly. I've posted stuff about the fact I got broken into last year, and that was received quite well, to be fair. But you put yourself out there and you open yourself for criticism. So I think it's part of the parcel of it. I'm not really sure where I'm going with it, but
no. But if you put yourself on the internet, you're going to get some great responses that motivate you and encourage you, and you're going to get some people that just want to ruin everything that you're trying to do. And that's life. Whether or not you continue is a different story. Because if we rewind to when we first started doing the videos, over the coming years, there was a few other channels, a handful, that you might be, you could probably go like that and be like, that was the number of fishing channels on the entirety of YouTube. The kids and young adults who didn't give up are all in the industry now, and all have a career that revolves around fishing and their hobby and their passion. But those that gave up, they found themselves other paths.
Well, we won't
but like
know, maybe.
The amazing thing is that all of the guys who stuck at it and never gave up, it came good for them eventually. I think that is quite cool,
I always
really
dreamt that I'd make a living from fishing and my filming. And I still remember a conversation I had with an ex-girlfriend at the time's mum, saying what I wanted to do as a job. Because I think we're having this conversation at dinner time, and I said that I wanted to make money from my YouTube videos, because I've been still doing them. And I remember her response was, yeah, that's not a realistic job opportunity. You've got to think of something else. And I always remember that conversation.
The voice
Someone
in your head
that said I was never going to do that as a job. I now make a living out of doing exactly what I said I wanted to do. And I think that's what we need to hold on to when we've stuck through some of the crappy bits, is that actually, no, we are doing what we're doing. And that's what some of the comments are saying, is like, looking back, did you think you'd be doing what you're doing now when you started? No, I didn't. and two, I'm so glad we are.
Yeah.
Because we get to make content like this and call it our jobs,
but
which is amazing.
It took a long time for it to start working out, if you know what I mean. Like, there was so many years of basically no views. Most of the comments were hate comments, and nothing was really gaining any traction.
Yeah.
None of the brands were interested in anything that we did for
and it's
10 years or more.
It's completely flipped now, because I think brands are looking for content creators, because they can see that's where the market value is in getting products out there.
Yeah.
So but this is going to bring me on to the next point I want to talk about, is people coming into YouTube now. You probably get loads of messages like I do as well that say, just start up a YouTube channel, got any advice? And it's really hard, because my advice from my experience is stick at it for 15 years and keep on doing it and make it your own. But you can't, people want this quick internet success. And the only thing I say, so it'll be interesting to see what you say, is be original. Because if you try and be like someone else, it comes through as you're copying.
Yeah.
If you're forced on camera, it comes through. If you're natural on camera, like I believe we are, I am in person as I am on camera.
Yeah, you're the same
shine
person.
through that you're natural. And if people buy into your personality, then that's going to be a more sustainable thing to make, but also more believable and watchable.
And if you put on an act, or you try to be something you're not, like you pretend to be this sort of character, or you put on a face, and you're going to get found out eventually, and people will turn off of you in the end. I think when I've seen people grow really fast, they've also sort of come back down really fast.
Yeah.
Whereas that slow, steady growth, authentic growth, just doing what you do, doing what you love, and being fiercely yourself, and not trying to be like, oh, if I behave like this, then this company will maybe be more likely to sponsor me, or if I say these things, maybe people will like me more. It's like, no, actually, gradual, steady growth, you just being who you are and just making the videos that you want to watch. I think that's the most important thing. Lots of people, when they're getting into YouTube, they're thinking, what videos does everyone else want? Like, I've got to make something that other people want to watch. But actually, you just think, well, what do I want to make?
Yeah.
Because then you'll be passionate, and people can tell if you love what you're doing. But if you're trying to sort of force it, it probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
And the patience thing is massive.
Yeah.
Because, everyone wants, a result quickly. I want all three of these rods to rip off right now, and I want a triple take, and I want them all to be 30s. But the realistic thing about life is that if it's a good thing, it's probably going to take time.
Yeah.
And it took us time.
Yeah.
Not making any money off of your sort of thing, like the YouTube, for me at least, it was approximately like 14, 15 years worth of putting money into it and seeing absolutely no return whatsoever. You have to do it because you love it, because otherwise you'll give up before you ever turn it into a career.
Yeah, 100%. And another one on the whole, people coming into YouTube making their own content, is another one I get a lot of comments or messages saying, how do I get sponsored? You have a look at the profile and they've just started fishing. I think it's really hard to see. Maybe it comes from the fact that we're in a bit more of a privileged position where we are. We've got a bit of back in and help fishing that you kind of don't see it from their point of view, but I find it so almost sad when I see people coming into fishing looking for the sponsorship straight away, help with this, help with that. And I think if you're getting into fishing kind of for the wrong things.
Yeah, well, you do sometimes see people who are, you can tell, that the goal is to be famous and then enjoy their fishing.
Which is nothing wrong with
yeah, no, but like, if it's that way round, then that will probably pan out quite differently to someone whose goal is to enjoy their fishing because they bloody love it.
Yeah.
And then as a result, they grow and develop, and maybe a company takes interest in them and they get some sort of reward, and then it sort of spirals into maybe having a career in it. But yeah, I think it's wrong to have your attention too much in the wrong place. On the other side of that though, I remember being young and being like, I really want to sponsor because fishing tackle's really expensive.
Yeah.
And being like, I really want to fish more, but I can't afford to. And I think sometimes the videos that we watched growing up, I won't like name names, or I won't draw attention to where or who, but like a lot of it made it seem like you needed to spend lots of money to go fishing.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of some of your early videos and the videos I like to do as well. Showing that you can enjoy your fishing without necessarily having to have all the gear, and without necessarily having to have a ticket on somewhere fancy, you know, with like massive fishing, I still every year love to make a small stream fishing video. Like every winter, Omi and I, or I'll just go out on my own and I'll just wander this little ditch and catch like a couple of chub. Because I feel like if I can't enjoy that, then fishing's kind of done for me. I want to always remember my roots, and that was where fishing started for me, and that's where fishing will always, I'll always still be able to find young Carl there.
Well, that's what I kind of did recently with some of my content. I fished on the float. You saw the Nunny cast.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah,
really enjoyable fishing, and I think that shone through. And
and the biggest fish you caught that video was like this,
tiny fish,
but it was so captivating, and I loved it. And then when that kid came down and started chatting to you, and you showed them the fish and the family, and like I just thought this is.
And I really enjoyed making it. And I think that shone through on the video as well. But also, I've since since then done budget fishing things, which again has gone there well because it's showing that you can get out and fish. I know we're saying this surrounded by Delcombs, my spies, my swimmers, divers.
Oh mate, don't get me wrong.
You can enjoy fishing with the expensive bits, but also you don't have to all the time. I've just noticed I've gone completely black in the shade. We might have to rejig the camera in a second. It's all right. That one's focused on you. You're the main thing of this video. Anyway. But
it's like you're the unplayable character.
I just got to silhouette.
He's greyed out.
So that brings me on to how do you use a camera properly, Carl?
Well, the trick with a camera is to preempt where the sun's going next.
And I've gone behind a bush.
And check. I mean, that's gonna take a little while to come back out.
You'll be in it soon. It's fine. So on to the next question. Obviously, things over the years, doing it as long as we have. What's the biggest changes? Obviously, the obvious one's going to be going from Carl and Alex to Fish with Carl. What are the big challenges? Or are there any points in your career? This isn't a question, it's one I've just come up with. Were there any points you thought about giving it up?
Yeah, so up until this year was actually the first year where I haven't had thoughts of giving it all up.
Yeah. Is that pressure based or not enjoying it as much?
It's got nothing to do with my love of fishing. It's got nothing to do with my love of filmmaking. In fact, it's probably the culmination of both of those two things coming together, because I love fishing and I'm obsessed with filmmaking. And I don't have much else in my life, to be truthful. And therefore, when I think about what am I spending my days on, what do I wake up in the morning and want to do, it's fish and make videos about fishing. And therefore, you do that sort of every day, and you forget that like human beings need a break every now and then. You need some space in your mind. You need to, just rest sometimes. And burnout can happen. And I know that I'm an obsessive type person. Like, if I like something, I really like it. If I want to do something, I really want to do it, and I won't think about almost anything else until, well, at all. Yeah. And that's resulted in a couple of times sort of burning out, where I just haven't fed myself, or I haven't drunk enough water, or I haven't slept enough, and then it sort of sometimes that can get a bit like, I don't know how you describe it. What is burnout? I don't know if it's something you've ever experienced, but like.
No, I can to an extent.
So much of one thing that all of a sudden, even though you love it, suddenly you're like, I can't do it anymore. Yeah. My brain's stopped working. And all I really need is to just take a holiday. Because then after the holiday, I come back and I'm fresh. But I don't want to take the holiday because I want to keep going. Yeah. And it's sort of, so that's happened a few times.
Yeah. I think it wasn't so much to that extent where I wasn't feeling, and as you can tell, I've always fed myself well. But I've got to the point where I'm thinking, what am I doing with the content I'm making? Do I want to be doing it? And that's kind of what happened with my career change, moving from carpology to my own stuff. Is that as much as I enjoyed it, I could see in the future I was going to get to the point I'm just not enjoying my job anymore, which is why I've made the move to do this full time and my own freelance stuff. And I feel like, as much as I love my job, I'm just like, I can make what I want. I can film where I want. I can make the content I want to make, sort of thing. And
a bit more freedom.
Yeah. And know that now I'm my own boss, of course, sometimes that comes with its own stresses and strains, but there are elements to it where I'm just like, it's the best thing as well. That then it's keeping it fresh and knowing that if the weather's rubbish, and before I would have had to still go out and do it. I don't.
You can edit.
Yeah,
and then when the weather's bang on for some fishing, you can go out and film some fishing.
Within reason, because obviously my life's changed massively as well in the last year.
You got a kid now.
I've become a dad. I got married 2 years. So since starting YouTube when I was single living at home, I'm now married with a kid and a mortgage. So things have changed, but having the control of it has kept it fresh, I think, for me. And now I'm doing my own stuff. It gives me the freedom to not just fish for carp. As much as carp is, and probably always will be, my main focus and drive, if I want to make something else, I will. And I've now got the time to do it, which has helped me not to burn out, I think.
Yeah.
But I could see that was where it was going in the future.
Yeah. Oh, it's good that you were able to sort of foresee it, because when I was in employment, I wasn't able to foresee it. You know, Alex and I were working full-time jobs at Nash, and all weekend we were just making our own videos. Yeah. So it's sort of Monday to Friday in Essex, and then Saturday, Sunday on our own stuff at home. And I when I think back, I think, wow, well, I'm proud of us that we did the sort of, I don't know what it was, like 5-6 years straight. Just
that's all you did.
Because it paid off.
Yeah.
But equally, wow, like with the knowledge I have now about balance, I think, crikey, of course I was headed into a bit of a burnout type situation. So
I don't know if I'm completely wrong, but with Alex's parting ways of Carl and Alex, was that his way of kind of preempting that's the way it was going with him, or did he just want to see more of the world and do other things?
I think that's a brother thing. I think that's just a siblings thing, because whilst brothers and sisters and stuff, they can get on really, really well, and they can work together really well, because you kind of know each other. Like I knew how Alex worked, Alex knew how I worked, and therefore our productivity was through the roof. We could get loads done very quickly, quite efficiently, and we just really, it was great, and we loved it. But there is limits. There's a time where you need to live your life and they need to live their life, and see what else is out there, as it were. Like, but also Alex's hobbies were sort of gradually moving away from fishing. Alex has always been a bit more like a butterfly, you could say, because he sort of floats from interest to interest. You know, he played.
Well, you can see that from his channel.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He'd be honed in on one thing, then the next video is completely different.
Yeah.
But he's fully all into it.
Yeah, like he's so invested in skiing now. He's desperate to do a backflip and just like get really good at skiing. But obviously not desperate enough to do it more than once or twice, because the next video will be back to beekeeping or foraging or something. But I always think with us, it was the best thing that could have happened, even though I miss it, even though I miss him and I miss our working relationship. Now when I hang out with Alex, like, we're just best mates. Yeah. And there's no tension. There's no like, oh, well, you know, you didn't finish editing that, or, you know, that footage you got when we were out last time was out of focus, because work doesn't mix with family anymore in that respect. But also it's really good because he I don't want to speak for him, but there was some self-esteem things. I think everyone in their life will have a little blip at some point where they're not sure if they're enough and whatever. And Alex hadn't done his own thing and proven to himself that he could do his own thing. Yeah. And now he's done his own thing and it's done really well. I feel this beautiful, proud big brother thing where I'm like, go on, Alex, you smashed it. And I think he feels good to have gone out on a limb, taken a risk, and felt like his own effort, his own skills have paid off. Yeah. And that's cool. And also he just cooks really good food. So every time I see him, he cooks up something delicious and I'm like old times.
Better than my raw burgers?
They tasted good. I just don't know if they're gonna stay down.
So far we're an hour in and we're still good. So obviously Alex has gone his other direction or his other route. Do you see yourself changing anything? Or sticking at what you're doing?
I hadn't even thought about it. No, not really. I mean, I'm trying new things. Every year I try some new things.
But just in the fishing world? Like, there's never any drive to do anything else?
I don't think I could motivate myself to make videos about anything else. Fishing's the thing which, since I was in school, just took over my entire mind. Fishing's still the thing that I fall asleep thinking about. Like, what rigs am I going to use there? How am I going to outwit that fish? Or where am I fishing next? I don't see that changing at all. I mean, I got a little bit interested in fish keeping, and the idea of, you know, just making videos about fish in general. There's some fish related documentaries that I wouldn't mind making one day if I find the time, or if I learn how to make good documentaries. That would be quite fun. But fish and fishing is everything, and I see no signs of that changing really. I would like to do a few more exciting foreign fishing trips. I went to India last year, or this year in the spring, fished for the golden mahseer, which was a dream of mine since I was quite young. I really wanted to do that. And I think that opened my eyes. I thought, oh crikey, there's species out there, and there's stories that I can tell about fish and about cultures and about places that not many people know about. That's really exciting because it's something new, but it's still in the realms of what I'm interested in, what I love. But no, fishing. You're not. You wouldn't catch me dead making a video about foraging mushrooms. Unless Alex invites me out, then I'll do it just to spend time with him.
Now with content, obviously we do, although we both make fishing videos, our content is pretty different. And for instance, I've just done one on cheap stuff from Temu and night fishing on an inflatable bed, a kid's tent and stuff. Whereas you've gone down the other route, which is very much aspirational, cinematic, awesome pieces. Do you ever see you changing your style, or is it just you keep striving to get that better and better looking?
I know what you mean, and I never really thought about it like I want to make more cinematic stuff, or I never really thought about it like I want to try and make up the quality, so to speak. It was just I learned that there was a type of shot or a type of editing technique or a bit of camera equipment that would make my videos feel better, and I went, oh, I want to do it. There's a limit to that though, because there's a point where you just overproduce your stuff and it's all shiny and beautiful, but there isn't much soul left.
Yeah,
I think that's where a balance is good to try and find.
Do you find you've almost, because your production levels is some of the best out there, do you find sometimes now that you're your own worst critic and thinking that's not the standard I want, even though it would probably be
sometimes
the best that anyone's seen in a long time?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I won't post a video for 3 months. And people are like, why haven't you posted a video for 3 months? And I go, well, because the videos that I made in the last 3 months weren't good enough.
Yeah.
And then I sometimes stop and I think, well, who's saying they're not good enough? Is that just me saying they're not good enough? Would other people like them?
Yeah.
But then it goes back to what I said earlier about it being important that you make the things that you want to watch. Because if you're making stuff that you don't even want to watch yourself, kind of feels all a little bit hollow. Like if you're just making it just because you think other people will like it. So yeah, I mean, I will, when I hit upload, it's because it's something that I feel like I would want to watch myself.
Yeah.
And the thing is I watch your stuff, and I watch some of the stuff from the brands, some of the quarter films, some of the Nash adventures. I'll click. I'm like, you know what? I'm actually really want to see that. And most of the time, if I'm totally honest, it's not what camera they used that made me click, and it's probably not what camera they used that made me watch it. It was the person, their passion for the thing, and
the content itself.
Just the love of fishing. Like when you see people that love fishing, you just connect to them, don't you? Like, why is Terry Hearn the great legend that he is? Because I think he probably loves fishing.
Yeah, there's not many blokes his age you'd watch sat on their sofa drinking a cup of tea telling a story.
Just telling a story.
But with him, everyone sits and listens.
Because he really, really does love his fishing. And there's other people in the industry who really, really love selling things. And that's good for them, but like it doesn't make for the most thrilling viewing necessarily. And you can tell. you don't have to be a genius to see what's what.
I think from what we were talking about earlier, making the content we want to make and the audience, not everyone's always going to like you. Making the content you want to make, you build up an audience that like the content you're making.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the bad side of the internet, the hate comments and that, you think that's a small window or a small percentage of the people that aren't liking the content, which is fine. You're never going to please everyone. But I know you can then say to yourself, I've made the content I want to make. Most people have enjoyed it. And that's the best bit about carrying on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think if I was still getting like 90% hate comments on my videos, I probably would have like taken the hint and probably given up. It's really nice to see that people like the videos. It's really nice to meet people and hear that they've either been inspired or they've learnt. And there's a bit of my job which is kind of feels like trying to do a service to fishing. What I mean by that is, in many ways, I feel like fishing sort of kind of saved me. As a young adult who was very lost in this world, and at school which was just very, very stressful, and I hated it to the point where like I didn't really want to not just go to school. I didn't want to wake up in the morning, you know, it was brutal. But fishing gave me a purpose, it gave me a focus, gave me something to look forward to. And now I'm like, you know what, because fishing did that for me, I want to do stuff for fishing. Yeah. So stuff which I want to do for fishing, one of the things was fishing tutorials. It was like, well, what did I need when I started? I needed someone to tell me how to tie a loop knot. Yeah. I needed someone to tell me that this is how you attach your float. And those sorts of videos, not a lot of people are making. And I've been lucky that at the same time as making the videos that I wish I had and helping people learn, it's also been able to provide me with an income to make it work full circle.
Viable.
Yeah, yeah. And that means that because I'm getting some money from making fishing tutorials, I can make more fishing tutorials and continue to live this life in the fishing industry. So I'm privileged and very, very grateful. Every day I'm grateful. Like, wow, how did this all fall into place in the way that it did? Yeah. Because, yeah, I mean, life would... If I didn't do this and make fishing videos, I don't know what the heck I would be doing. Honestly, I have no skills outside of fishing, and even that's arguable.
Let's not base our fishing ability on this session alone, because that's not going to end well for either of us.
No. But like, I have no qualifications. No, I lie. I think I have 2 GCSEs. They wouldn't let me work at McDonald's. And I'm not qualified enough to flip burgers. Yeah. And that's why every day I have to pinch myself and be like, I'm glad I made something work.
Yeah, and you have to make it work as well, like you're saying, if this is the only thing you do. And we were talking earlier about how social media is changing so much, again, since when we started, when there was no Instagram, TikTok and some of this. It was just YouTube. Yeah. Now we were talking earlier, like TikToks and things, you kind of have to do it to stay relevant on the platforms, but it's just the attention span you're dealing with. I'm the same, because I do use TikTok, and I'm the same. If a video doesn't grab me in the first few seconds, I'm scrolling. So I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to that thing. You've got to make content now on all these different platforms to try and watch me here, watch me there, and try and grab people's attention, which is the hardest thing when you don't want to do that sort of content.
Yeah, I think shorts and reels and all those things. I'm sounding like an old man. I know. But like, it's changed so much in just the last 3-4 years that I feel like I'm behind. You know, I'm looking on TikTok and there's kids making educational how to... Oh, go on, please.
Drop back on the right. That's the zig. That could be a bite. One sec.
Please be a bite. One moment. I mean, getting up and running all the way over there for one beat was a little bit, you know, optimistic.
At least we got another clickbaity clip for the start of the video.
What was it?
It was the zig, but when I went into the swim, there's like 4 birds and rats.
Oh,
so
nice.
Gonna be them.
Nice. Never mind.
I forgot what we were saying. Oh yeah, the TikToks and the reels and things.
Oh, the things that the youth of today do. No, one thing I've done sometimes is I've used the I've made a video and then I've put a snippet of it.
That's pretty much
on social media.
Yeah.
And been like, new video on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very millennial thing to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing as well.
Yeah.
Now, we could chat on forever, which we did last night, probably will again later, but I did ask people to give me some questions.
Yeah.
Some, the sort of ones you'd expect, some pretty good ones as well. Do either of you have a target carp currently? If so, what is it? And share a picture. Well, I don't have any pictures, and no, I don't have any target carp at the moment. Yourself?
Right now, I've got my eyes on
there's one of these.
A 12-pounder that jumped earlier. Beautiful dark fish, common, sort of a fully scaled common thing.
Fully scaled common, yeah.
No,
I don't know.
I did the other year. I had the big common in the Park Lake, and I never got it. And maybe one day I'll go back and catch it. But
if there's any space there.
Yeah, if I can get a swim.
Which one of you is the biggest tackle tart?
It's probably you, to be honest.
I think it's me.
Like, I don't even have backrests. I've just got a bit of wood.
The handles aren't aligned.
Poles
are separate.
Lining your handles up is for people who've got nothing better to do.
100% on the biggest tackle tart. To Carl, how does it feel being much better than angler than curly?
I don't know if you can say much. I mean, currently in the challenge, it's 1-0.
1-0.
And I'm in the best swim on the lake. So make of that what you will.
Here's a good one. We kind of touched upon this when we were talking about it back when we started YouTube. If you could tell your former selves anything after posting your first YouTube video, what would you say?
Oh, mate, that is a really good question, but it's also one I'm not sure how to answer. I mean, I'd say the same thing that I say to most young and enthusiastic people who are sort of getting started with something. I just say don't give up.
Yeah.
And it's such a cheap, easy answer, but it's like, if you give up, game over. You're never getting what you want.
Yeah.
If you keep going, it'll probably happen eventually. So please don't give up, young Carl, or young anyone else watching this video.
Well, I think it's interesting because we clearly both haven't given up. So for me, what would I tell me put my first video up? It would be, don't take the negative comments to heart. Because I used to beat myself up so much with the negative stuff. I'm like, why don't these people like what I'm putting out? So I think, although I have got through it and I still am making content and still get abused sometimes, it's water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say there. It's still like, it's not saying that you don't.
You still feel it.
You can still read a comment and be like, that's
not
nice. No one likes reading negative comments. I don't get how hard you make yourself sound.
Yeah.
I just deal with it a lot better now than I did when I was younger. So I think it would be not to let the negativity get to you as much as it did when I was younger.
Yeah. That's
no, good question though.
And also, if you do get horrible comments and people are trying to put you off, or they're, know that that's more about them than it is about you.
Actually, I guess what I would say then
is that's them taking out their anger on someone. It's not necessarily that you're a bad person. You got to read the comment. What I mean is, like, if people keep telling you like you shouldn't be doing that because that's irresponsible or because that's bad angling or something, then you should probably be like, oh, maybe maybe I need to, like fishing for pike without a wire trace. Like my first pike fishing video, I was fishing with mono straight through to a hook. And the comments were like, dude, you're going to get bitten off. You're going to leave hooks in a pike. I read that and I went, oh,
makes sense. Yeah,
I've learned.
Yeah.
But when it's just people being nasty, it's like, leave that. That's their issue, not yours.
Yeah. So thinking about it a bit more, I'd probably say to myself, don't bite at the negative, because that's what I do now. If I get negative comments, I'll just be like, sorry for the way, cheers for watching anyway, or I'll respond in a really respectful, nice way. And often, they get down from this and be like, oh, actually, he's fairly sound. I shouldn't have talked about that. If you bite back, that's exactly what they're looking for.
I did that when I was young as well.
Yeah, I was terrible for it, and I would get myself so worked up and upset that I was having these internet arguments with middle-aged blokes who, looking back, they were the ones in the wrong. I was just trying to defend myself, and I'll always think that because I was a minor making videos, getting abuse. But I think that's the worst thing, was biting back at the abuse, because it just made it so much worse. And then you dwell on it.
Yeah. And you can't get it out of your mind as well.
No.
I mean, I was still doing it a year or two ago.
Yeah.
I was still seeing a horrible comment and being like, no, you're wrong. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And it's just, it just keeps it spiraling and makes it even worse. To be honest, if someone's really horrible, you just block them.
Yeah.
And just never think about it again. It's better to do that than to start a back and forth, where you're both wasting your lives having an argument on the internet.
100%. If you were both doing an overnighter for a micro species, what would the species be?
An overnighter for a micro species?
Like for minnows?
I mean, it feels like that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're doing that.
I caught the smallest carp in the lake, so does this count? No.
Micro species? What class is a micro species?
I think, like if you did an overnighter for minnows. I have done an overnighter for gudgeon. Don't judge me, please.
I'm a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I was
mushroom foraging next.
I was young, and the lake that I was on apparently had a world record gudgeon in it. So I did a night for gudgeon.
Fair enough.
But I love gudgeon. I think they're one of the cutest little adorable fish. So I would. And
that
I
probably
still fish
answers
for them.
The next one. The next one is favourite species to fish for other than carp. So I'm guessing
it would be perch.
Perch.
Yeah. A big perch is such an impressive creature, and you can catch them in so many different ways. You know, float, pole, feeder, live baits, lures, little dead baits, and they're just, you know, when you catch them, they're gonna stick the dorsal up, and they're like, "Arr!" I love perch.
Wait for the jet to go over.
Wow.
This one we kind of covered when we were doing the main talk anyway. Did either of you think you would be where you are today when you started? Let's face it, you're living a dream for many of us. I think we kind of covered that quite well earlier on.
Yes.
No, never did think we would be, but amazing that we are. For Carl, how has fishing helped your mental health over the years, and what are your top 3 benefits? I know this is just for you, but I can answer it as well, because I think it helps pretty much everyone with mental headspace.
I think even someone who is perfect in every way would find benefits from going fishing and having some peace. Yeah, the benefits of fishing are the same as the benefits of, you know, going for a walk in the forest or just sitting peacefully in a field, but without it being really boring.
Yeah.
So, you know, lots of people, when they are struggling or they go and have therapy, people will say, have you tried meditation? And you're like, oh, meditation? What, you mean sit there cross-legged and count your breaths? Like, boring.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of blokes will be like, huh? Oh, I ain't doing that. You can't convince me to do meditation. None of that hippie nonsense. But then you cast your odds out and you spend 5 hours watching the water.
You're doing it without knowing.
You're literally meditating. You're sitting in calm with your mind not on all of the politics and not on war and not on drama and not on news and, you know, how am I paying the bills and who you know, who are my friends, who aren't. All of that noise just stops. What's not to love about that? Even if you just do it every now and then, a little bit of fishing, a little bit of peace, a little bit of focus on just one thing, everything else goes quiet.
Yeah.
It gives you the break that you need. All humans need a little bit of that, I think. We're not built to constantly sit there on a screen and take in drama and input. We're certainly not built to work all the time, and therefore, water, nature, peace. Those are that's just for me.
100%, and even for myself, it helps me. Every time I'm out, like, it gives me the headspace. The number, so if I'm getting cranky and hepped up and little things are niggling me at home, and it gets worse and worse, and eventually, even my wife knows now. She's just like, you need to go fishing, because I go on the bank for a day,
need to clear your
come
head.
back, and I'm reset, because I just need it all the time. I think we're all the same. It's just for that exact reason. That everything that starts to build, and just like, you go fishing, and you're like, it's not so bad anymore. And then you go back, build up again, come fishing again.
But it's the same.
So it helps everyone.
Totally. But it's the same thing that in some people, and myself in the past, and some people that are very close to me, they get built up more and more noise and stress in their head, more and more concerns about work and relationships, and then it's pub, and it's drinking.
Yeah.
And it's drinking and drinking and drinking until it all goes quiet. And that doesn't lead to the same positive end as a night here or there on the bank.
Yeah.
You know? So people will find their respite in different ways. But fishing is one that you can't really argue with. It's like,
it's even prescribed now, isn't it?
yeah, there's no drawbacks.
Yeah. I'm pretry sure it's prescribed now by doctors.
Yeah, they literally say,
go fishing.
Have you tried going fishing? You're just like, yes, please.
Right, so next one's a complete other end of the spectrum, talking to mental health. There's a bit more of the fishing politics she's trying to get away from. Would either of you use the OMC twig now after the new video, or the OMC wand?
What a question.
I'm staying out of the politics of it, whether you like it or not. It's completely up to you. I couldn't care less. I'm pretty bored of the whole topic. It's not something I ever use. I don't think I need it in my fishing.
You've been media trained. That's a really good answer.
Well, it's not the sort of thing I use.
No.
But if you want to use it, fine. If the fishery allows you to use it, fine. I'm just bored of it.
It's the same as bait boats or drones or all of the other technological things. Some people, they go, awesome. I love geeking out about technology and you know, inventions. And other people are like, I like to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Personally, no.
And that's the thing, fishing is different for everyone. That's what I always find frustrating when people are so like vehement in their beliefs on how you should fish. You're like, that's what's wrong with fishing. Like, let people fish how they want to fish. You want to use a bait boat? Like, I did a video where I made it deliberately a bit clickbaity called "That's Not Fishing," and the picture was a bait boat. I still enjoyed my shrimp. I didn't catch anything, but the comment section I deliberately asked people to talk about it. Some people were for it, some's against, but the difference in opinions and how strongly some of these people believe that the fishing's only fishing if you're casting out with a split cane rod and a spinning reel or whatever.
Yeah, and a peacock quill float. Yeah.
It's fishing's whatever you want it to be, as long as you're enjoying yourself and not hurting anyone else.
My dad went fishing once, and he literally cast out with no bait on because he didn't want to catch, but he wanted to go fishing. He just wanted an excuse basically to go sit by the lake and just be like spend some time with me.
Fair enough.
You know, like
I mean, I feel like I've got no baits out right now, to be honest. So it wasn't the worst idea. Moving on to next one. What do you think the next big fishing fad will be?
Fad? I don't know. I mean, right now you've, especially out in the States, you've got the whole debate about side scanning sonar, or like not side scanning sonar, live facing sonar. Sonar where it's not like looking down and detecting what the bottom's like or where the fish are positioned. It's sonar that goes sideways and you can sort of pan it side to side. I'm not an experienced person at this, but they pan it side to side, and then when they stop, like it shows the shape of fish.
Yeah.
So you basically it's like putting on goggles and just
finding what you want and
seeing the fish.
Yeah.
And when I went to the Netherlands and we were fishing for the big perch, like basically world record perch lives in this place. The guy was like, check this out, and starts doing this live scope is what it's called. So he's live scoping and he's sending this, and he's showing up fish that are 10 yards from the boat, and he's going, look, there's a fish there, you can see it, it's a perch, you can see the shape of it. And I'm like,
that's
what
mad.
do you mean just there? He's like, cast, and I cast and I see my lure sink on the scanner in front of the perch, and I'm twitch, the perch starts following it, and I'm like, oh my God. That's not necessarily a fad, but it's become a big thing.
I think the next fad is going to be tech related, because that's the sort of world we're living in now, where it's the next
technology is leveling up so fast and so quick.
I mean, the fact that the last few years you can cast a sonar, like earlier, I was just checking the depth, seeing if there's anything there to put a zig out.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like how easy it is to find out what's in front of you like that. I think the next fad will be tech related.
But it will go like it normally does.
Up and then.
More and more technology, and then people go, oh, I don't know if this is fun anymore, and then they find where they like to be. You know, like people used to listen to music on their record player, and they'd take a record and then listen to it and love it, and love this music, and the quality was really good. Then CDs come out, and you could buy 20 of them for the price of a record, and you could get a CD player cheap, and then CDs became MP3s, and MP3s went in your pocket, and then you've got a million songs on your phone. Yeah. But then there's still people going out there going, I'm going to get myself a record player because it's a nice thing and the quality's really nice and you just enjoy it more.
Different feel to it.
So it will come and go, and I'm not scared of the change.
And some fads are needed and are helpful. Others are not so much. But that's for you to make the decision. I don't know exactly what the next fad will be, but good question.
If we knew, then we would invest in it and make some money.
Yes.
If you could see the future, then you'd just get in the stock market.
Next one. Could we potentially see you both having a proper match/match tactics or feeder fishing? Well, at this rate, it probably would have been more action if we went feeder fishing somewhere.
I think it would have been a good shout if we just sat at that castle that you went to the other week and used the float.
Yeah, it would have been good fun. Who can catch the most goldfish in 10 minutes?
Yeah. Omi has been asking me non-stop, by the way, can we go and fish with Joe at the castle?
Yeah.
She's watched that video twice. She's like, I want to go to the castle and catch goldfish and little baby mirror carp.
Yeah, I've had a lot of apologies to any of the locals that fished it on and off because it may be a bit busier lately. I'm sorry. But I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. We're talking of Omi. Will there be a Carl versus Omi?
Maybe. I mean, for a versus, the skill levels need to be similar, or there has to be handicaps, or some kind of restriction to make it a bit more fair. So maybe Omi and I could fish against each other if both my arms were cut off or something, or they were held by my bag or something. I don't know.
I'll leave that one up to you to make some kind of content there. Question for you both. What's your thoughts on the... Oh, we've just done that question. I'll move on from that. It's going to be the twig again. I had a lot of questions about the twig for one thing.
People are obsessed, man.
Move on. What's your favourite way to catch carp, e.g. surface, zigs, solid bags, etc.?
Favourite way, free lining with bread.
Yeah.
Because it's the method in which you get closest to the fish and you watch it all happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just so fun.
And there's just nothing between you and the fish.
Yeah, it's just you and the fish, and then if you don't strike at the right time, you miss it. If you strike too early, you miss it. It's like, it's all on you.
Yeah.
It's very hands-on.
No, I'd agree with that as well.
If you can't do that, you know, if it's like this time of year, then yeah, I'd say my go-to is probably a PVA bag or something, just sort of
not zigs.
Not zigs. No, zigs are like the bane of my life, because so often I go somewhere and they go, "Oh, you should." What's that noise?
I think it might be the gimbal now.
Or it's my bike cam.
It's your camera, wasn't it? It's fine. There's enough cameras on at the moment. I think that was
That's
yours.
That's very true. Yeah. Yeah, zigs. Zigs are a funny one because so often they are the best method to get a bite. Like if the fish aren't feeding on the bottom, you've got to use them.
Yeah.
But how often have you hooked a fish on a zig and lost it at the net, or had little twitchy bites which drive you crazy?
Yeah.
Or they're a frustrating method. They're one that I need to get better at, to be truthful.
I think that's the truth for a lot of people, including myself.
Zigging.
Is need to get better at it. I've got a zig out at the moment because 2 on the deck have done nothing. Well, 3 on the deck were doing nothing, so I put 1 on a zig, and I've tried up through the water columns. Nothing's happened yet, but at least I can say I've tried it. I've tried on different levels of the water, yeah. Most favourite, again, I'd agree with free lining for the same reasons, and
not zigs.
Yeah. If you could pick one fish to fish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I mean, carp is a very easy answer.
Yeah.
Because
let's add to the question.
They all look different, and they all you can catch them in lots of different ways. You know, you can get runs of waters, you can get places to catch them stalking, you can get places where you campaign for a really big one. It's diverse, you know.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't, it'd be split between perch and barbel, because both of those species are fun to catch, strong, beautiful.
Yeah, probably agree with the same sort of thing. I'm not just saying that for the sake of it.
Because like bream and tench, you can take them or leave them.
Yeah.
Pike are cool, but it's only really, for me, it's only really a winter thing. But barbel close season.
You'd have to take up another sport for the
I'd have to do some golfing or something.
And one more, not to end on a negative note, but it's one thing you'd change in fishing. It doesn't have to be negative, I suppose. Mine would be, if you don't mind me going first, would be the fishing culture that's online at the moment of, if you're not doing it the way someone says, you're doing it wrong. Or just the general bashing of like a newbie. That's the worst. When a newbie posts a picture, and rather than, well done mate, try this, the map police and stuff like that, drives me nuts.
It's probably, the jealousy, I think, is a tricky one, because we're all, in the most part, a little bit competitive. When we see someone else catch, there's always a bit of us that says, I wish I caught that.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you go and have to slag someone off, and like, just because they didn't do it the way you'd do it.
Yeah.
Just because you think maybe their scales are wrong, doesn't necessarily mean you have to get all fired up about it. You can just let them be wrong. Yeah. If that's how you feel.
You need to reflect on, how does that affect my life? Oh wait, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Move on. Happy days.
Yeah. So probably that. I'd probably, in an ideal world, there would be less jealousy and less focus on what other people have and you don't have, and more focus on just live and let live. Let everyone enjoy it, you know, and make the most of their
I've just thought
hobby.
of this one because I've seen someone here that's doing it, not you. What is a niggly thing in fishing, which again has no bearing on anyone else's enjoyment of the sport, and it makes no difference whether they do it or not? What would you get rid of? Because one thing I've noticed someone's doing over there is their butts are further apart than their tips. Their rods point in. I cannot stand rods that point into each other at the end. It looks wrong and it makes me feel uncomfortable even when I see it. Have you got any other little niggly things like that?
Talking of things that don't matter, I don't know. I don't really. I mean, look at me.
That's my carp fishing niggle.
Yeah, I don't really.
Tips the point in.
I don't really have something like that. Mud can do.
Get rid of mud.
Mud can do my head in after a little bit. You know, when you get back and like all your gear's coated in it, and then it's all crispy and it's going on the floor of the living room, and then you're in trouble. And you know what I mean. So a little bit less mud would be nice.
Less mud.
A little bit of sun every now and then wouldn't go amiss.
That would be nice. And tell you what, some bloody fish.
Yeah.
We've been chatting to camera for, I'm not sure how long this video is. I hope you've enjoyed it all the way to this point, because we're going to call it there. I've enjoyed it, having a little chat. Our session's going to continue, and if you haven't seen it yet, go back to last week's video where hopefully there's more fish than the one that's been caught so far. But if not, I hope you enjoyed this video. A little insight to Carl's YouTube career and life, and my own a bit more as well. I've enjoyed it, but none of our rods went off in that whole piece, which I find quite depressing, upsetting and worrying.
That's life.
Cheers, guys.